Posada, slow roller right side. Beckett picks it up, tags Posada, and the Florida Marlins are world champions.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 2 of the Battered Marlins Fans podcast. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Granada. Alongside me, I got Callie, Spaz, and Branton. 2 weeks into the season. We're 2 weeks in. A game under 500, a cycle under the belt, a complete game shutout, 100 pitch by Sandy himself. Not too bad of a start, and we're going to get into it all in this coming episode. But before we do that, let me talk to my crew right here. How are we doing? Let's start over here with Callie. How are you doing, sir?
I am wonderful. I'm doing great. I don't want to call myself a prophet, but I did say we'll take 1 from New York and 2 from the Phillies, and that's exactly what happened. So
that's it. And I got the proof. We'll play it back in a little bit to make sure we keep those receipts so people don't think that we're just making stuff up. What's going on, Spaz? Glad to have you on. Last week you were missing in action.
Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty stoked to be on here. Dude, I'm very excited about where the Marlins are right now. And I'm very excited that Callie was right. I have no problem saying that he was right about the road trip. So
goddamn right.
We're at.
And Branton, what's going on? We had a change of wardrobe in the backstage area right before we came on.
Guys. We did. I got a lot of hate. I was wearing the Loria Marlins hat, so went back to the new colors.
Show the hat. Don't.
All right.
I'll burn the hat. Set it on fire.
Actually,
yeah. The only positive attachment I have to that hat are the Jose.
Is the monument,
stuff like that.
Jose and Stanton. Those are my good memories there.
And
Yelich and
Ozuna. But we got Sandy for Ozuna, so I mean,
I love it.
Pros and cons.
We did okay.
We did all right. So we had, like you said, 6-game road trip. Last week we said win 1 with the Mets, 2 with the Phillies. We'll be in good shape going into the Diamondback series this weekend. We went 3-3 on the road, and we had a couple of nice moments during that run. But I think we have to lead off with the nicest. We had our first cycle in team history, 30 years, and Luis Arias came through. And I mean, once he got the triple, once you get the triple and you get the home run, everybody's like, okay, this is happening, because the triple is by far the hardest to get. And then everybody's just waiting for that single. Now, before we get into the whole cycle, I did want to ask you, he got that single. If he had a chance to run out for that double, do you think he does it, or does he stay put on first just to get that cycle?
So I had a teammate in college that ran into that issue, and that's always the fear, right? Because when you need the single, it's the easiest one to get. But what happens if you hit it in the gap? Because he was squaring it up that night. Like, what does he do? So I had a teammate that needed a single for the cycle. He hits a ball into, like, he could have walked to third, and he looks up at first, and even the coach is already starting to like hold him up to like let him have it. Mind you, we were also up like 10 at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like the 8th inning. So my coach just like held him up, and he just burned it. He went the second. I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. You are stupid, dumb boy. But yeah, it's tough to tell. And it depends on the competitor. I believe in that game. Like is that the game we won like 8-3 or something like that? Like, I don't know if Arias goes to the next bag for that one.
Yeah, I think we were up big at that point. And he definitely knew that he was on the cycle. I'd be surprised if he knew it would have been the first Marlin cycle. So maybe that would have had a little more to do with him pulling up. But listen, man, I'm not going to question what happened. I'm not going to question if he held up. I'm just glad we got one, man.
So supposedly he did not know that he was the first Marlin. So if I'm not wrong, what I heard is that, he just didn't know. And I mean, I'm happy that we got it. I mean, the last one that I remember that was really close, which I'm sure there was somebody else that was close after him, was Justin Bohr, who, was a big boy. And I want to say he was like a double.
He was a double away.
Yeah, he was a double away. And dude, this was
like 2017 or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was the home run derby year, I want to say. And
probably.
So I'm just stoked that we got one. I was like cheering. I woke my dog up. Like, it was history, man. I was super stoked about it.
And you guys know, because I already said it, but Callie and I were live on another podcast, and we couldn't help ourselves. We're both watching the game, and as soon as it happened, we just.
I think I was in the middle of like asking a question too, and I'm like, oh my god, Ori's got the cycle, and you know we're on with someone talking about intermittent cycle. You just kind of like does like the head's what the fuck are you talking about?
Now, I've heard a lot of chatter over the since then, and I mean it started before then because I mean it's a valid argument. I mean right now he's leading the league in batting average. He's 23 for 46. A lot of people are saying, is he the best hitter in Marlins history already? We're only 2 weeks into his tenure, and it might be a bit soon to say it, but I mean, is it too soon to say that he could be?
I'll say it's probably the best 2-week period we've seen from a Marlin ever, but I mean, the thing is,
the 30-game hit streak with Castillo was pretty damn good.
Yeah, like, you know. And we had like even like Hanley for everything he wasn't and everything he was, he still had a year he hit 342. You know,
and JP had some good years for us too.
Yeah, but I mean we've had some monsters, man. Like we've been really fortunate. I mean, you look at the 97 lineup too, and like Sheffield and Alou and Bonilla and the years that some of those guys had too. Like, you know, I mean, I think it's easy to look at it this sample size right now and be really excited about it. But it's, you know, I mean, I hope he turns out to be the case, but I'm not sure he'll be around long enough for us to say that.
Well, I think that's what hurts. Yeah, that's what hurts. You know, I wasn't aware that we only signed him for a 1-year contract. So, I mean, as a Marlins fan, you're kind of expecting the worst, and I think everybody's already yelling extension. But does anybody really expect an extension anytime soon?
I mean, it puts the club at a crossroads, right? Like, what history has there been within the club that we're gonna extend? And Sherman's already a guy that's outwardly said, like, I'm not spending money. And like for a perfect example, we had a guy like Nick Castellanos, a local guy who wanted to come here, and we went for the cheaper option and, you know, Avi Garcia and to an extent George Soler. Which, you know, Soler's playing great, but he had a terrible year last year. But, you know, I don't know. I personally don't have faith, but that's a lot of Marlins trauma that I've been carrying for the last 3 decades.
Now, you guys have been more tied to the Marlins over the last 30 years than I have, right? So I had a question for you. What was the last time that you guys were buyers before the trade deadline? Because I don't know if it's ever happened. And so it's never happened.
No, it did. I want to say it was
03 when we won the World Series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we went on got pudged. But even after that, though, I want to say like 06, 07, we were buyers too, because we were looking good going into the.
We had that one year that we traded for like Carlos Delgado at the deadline too, and we were about to trade for Manny Ramirez, and then we
signed Delgado in the offseason.
Did we? Oh, Paul LaDuca, I think is who I'm thinking of. We traded for Paul LaDuca in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that's the season I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I think that's like 05, 06 or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And LaDuca hit a bomb in his first AB. Fun fact.
Yeah.
But were we buyers, or we just made one good deal? Because the last time I remember we
brought in bullpen help too that year.
What was that?
We brought in a couple guys in the bullpen that year too, I think.
Okay.
Didn't we bring in
I will say that just one is more than I would expect, because coming from the Marlins, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but you don't expect much at the trade deadline as far as buying. So if you're telling me you're going out and you're buying one difference maker, that to me, Marlins standards, that's being a buyer.
Well, I expect to be active in July, but it's normally
I was going to say, if we're active in July, as far as buying goes, and you bring one impact pitcher or one impact bat, I mean, that could make a world of a difference.
Yeah.
I think
especially on this team this year.
I think if we get to July and we're dancing around 500 and we're within like 10 games of the wild card or maybe less, I think we become buyers. I still think we bargain hunt, but I think we get a half-year rental at that point. But I think a lot of teams do with that when they reach that kind of threshold. But we've historically not been buyers and very much been sellers at the deadline.
I feel like last year that's where we were at. We were dancing like we were a certain game away from 500, and we're like, oh no, fuck it, we're done. We're sellers. And then we were a certain game close to 500, and we're like, oh no, we're buyers. You know, so like I feel like that's just the dance we do every season. And we always end up with the same shit, unfortunately.
But the injuries is what crippled this team last year because they looked good to start.
Yeah, losing Jazz sucked last year.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I think I've told Callie before that, man, at the end, I was literally just going to the games just to see Sandy. Like, I was just going for Sandy Day. That's it. There was nothing else bringing me to that ballpark. It was just watching Sandy, throw, and that's it.
Well, I think that's what it's become, right? Because the last time we had something like that was when Jose was on the mound, right? And everybody would go out to see Jose. And since then, now it's Sandy, and we're gonna get into Jesus in a second, but we are gonna talk about the last two series. But before we do, I feel like we have to give
if we can
flowers.
Take 1 or 2 from the Mets, and we can win
take
the Phillies series.
From the Phillies, right? If we can take 2 from the Phillies and 1 from the Mets, we'll be okay. If we go 3-3, we end up 6-7. I think we're good coming home against the D-backs. Right? That is.
Thank God I shaved. My God.
There you have it. So it was predicted. It came to fruition. 3-3 on the road. We are now 6-7, right under 500, third place, 1 game behind the Mets, or is it 1.5 behind the Mets? And we got the Diamondbacks coming up. But to start off the season, these 4 series weren't cakewalks. Like, we had a really tough stretch to start the season. You have the Mets twice, which are supposed to be NL pennant favorites, or I mean, at least a contender. You had the Twins, which are no slouch and are handing it to the Yankees tonight. For those of you listening,
9 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, so they're handing it to the Yankees right now. So the Twins are no pushover. And then the Phillies, which are the National League champions from last year. I know they don't have Bryce Harper, but it's still a great team. So we've had a tough go to start the season. And we're only 1 game under 500. I mean, we've had to play that stupid ghost fork twice already this year. So it hasn't been an easy start to the year, but I think we've been holding our own. So with that said, I'll start with you, Spaz. What did you take from the last 2 series, the Mets and the Phillies?
Dude, the Mets was rough, especially being at Marlins Park, and there's so many freaking Mets fans in Miami. Like, that's just brutal. But dude, like, it's kind of like what you said, man. I mean, we're holding our own. We're not exactly treading water. I mean, we're not, some games sucked, but I like where we're at, dude. I mean, we haven't had an easy go of it. It killed me to, go against Pablo because I love him so much, but I think we're all right. We're going to be fine, and we're still finding our groove, so I'm okay with it.
What about you, Brenton?
Yeah, I have a lot of optimism, especially coming out of that Phillies series. You know how the first game went, we got pounded, and you never like to see that. And I think even this is, I think because that was Sandy, like, I kind of tended to overreact, and I was like, oh crap, we're in trouble. But then seeing Luzardo bounce back, and then even Cabrera, I thought he pitched probably one of the better games that I've seen him throw. His control issues from his first outing where I think he walked 11 guys.
Cabrera had me worried a bit in that Mets game also because he walked 7, and I want to say it was in the first 2 innings.
Yeah, and
so I was really starting to worry about him.
Yeah, and if you look at his stats, I mean, he really didn't give up a whole lot of hits or a lot of contact. It was just the walks that really killed him in that first game. So I was glad to see that he got the control under control and, really looked good and was hitting the strike zone again, because that was my fear with him, is that he wouldn't hit the strike zone again. And then we'd have another walk performance. And, while the last time we talked, our bullpen, we were very high on, I think our bullpen kind of had a rough couple of series. So it's basically the long relievers. I think the short guys are good. Set up.
The back of the bullpen looks great.
Right, but it's the long relievers that I think we have an issue with. So if we can get into that 6th, 7th inning and keep the ball out of their hands, I think that's going to be key for us going forward.
What about you, Callie?
It's encouraging. I mean, again, when you really break it down, and Danny, I think you nailed it in the sense that we played the National League champions who are hitting as good as anybody right now. And we played the Mets, who are favorites twice, who are favorites to win the National League twice. We played the Twins, who are smashing baseballs right now. It's encouraging. I think it's a huge testament to our pitching. With the Mets the Mets series in New York, I mean, we got shellacked that first game, but we bounced back well. We stayed alive, and to take one from there this early in the season is huge. And then in Philly, like, yeah, we got, what was that, 15-3 loss the first night.
Yep.
Like,
Sandy got lit up.
Sandy
Talk about that.
Sandy had maybe his worst outing since that Colorado game in like 21 that we've seen. And then Smeltzer came in and just got belted for 6 innings, it felt like. That's going to happen. It's going to happen whether we play the Phillies or the Pirates. We're going to have games like that.
And just real quick, because you had brought something up while we were talking and texting throughout that game, and I just looked it up. And Sandy has a 6-7 record against the Phillies, ERA of 3.15 with 93 strikeouts and 16 appearances. So they have, 6-7 isn't necessarily horrible. An ERA of 3, could be better, but
yeah,
definitely more losses than wins. So it's not good.
Yeah. But for the rest of the series, it was nice to see the bats come alive. Solar continues to just smash baseballs. Arise continues to be amazing. Yuldy had a very good series too. And then with Cabrera, I don't know if it's Mel Sotomayor that got in his ear or Skip, but even Skip admitted that Cabrera's problem has nothing to do with his talent and everything to do with what happens between the ears, but he became much more reliant on his curveball. And his curveball was snapping, man. That thing was falling off the table, and he's still
Beautiful.
throwing high 90s. So when you can mix it up and you can spot that curveball when you throw that hard, it's going to be tough to beat. And hopefully it gets better as the series as the year goes. But I was very encouraged, especially offensively against the Phillies. So.
All right, so I know Spaz doesn't want to talk about it, but I feel like it's necessary, right? We're a Marlins podcast, so we got to talk about the good and the bad. Sandy has now had 3 appearances. Obviously, he had that one amazing 100-pitch complete game shutout where everybody's like, he's back. This is it. Another Cy Young season loading. But it was sandwiched between 2 poor outings. Now, are we worried about Sandy, or is it just way too early to worry about Sandy? Because I know he got more or less off to a slow start last year also, and he ended up being the Cy Young. So how are we feeling, Brian? Let's start with you, Brian. How are you feeling about Sandy? Way too early?
I think it's I don't think it's too early to be worried, but I don't think we should be worried at all because, knowing Sandy, knowing the type of competitor he is and how he prepares for things, I think he's going to be really pissed off by that last outing, and I think he's going to be lights out from here on out. I think, the other thing too is like it's against the Phillies. Like that lineup is tough to get through. And if you don't have it all on, and you're going to get hit up, and that's what happened. And, if we're talking next week and, he has another bad outing or 2 between now and then yeah, I think it's time to worry. But knowing Sandy, I think what we saw in his second start is what we're more likely to see the rest of the year. Because a pitcher's going to get rocked every now and then. It's how he responds to that rocking. And what we've seen from Sandy is he normally responds very well to coming back that next game and getting back on the horse.
For those of you listening, we record on Thursday nights. Well, for the first time, we record on Thursday night. So we drop it on Thursday night, Friday morning if you're listening the next day. And so from here to then, Sandy's going to pitch once. It'll be Sunday against the Diamondbacks at home. So I'm really hoping that he has a good showing. And when we talk next Thursday, we're talking about how he had a good outcome, and that I would assume he'd be pitching that Friday the next day. So we'll see how that goes. Cali, too early for any Sandy worry?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention that he faced 3 very good lineups too. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like he is like if you're telling me he had these outings against the Royals, the Pirates, and the Reds, I'd be like, okay, you know what? It's start ringing the bells a little bit. But 3 very good lineups, 3 lineups that smash baseballs. Even without Harper and Hoskins, the Phillies still have just a stupid lineup between Schwarber and Bohm and Stott and a lot of those guys. It's It's too early. He had a couple bad outings. He had bad outings last year. He'll have more this year, but as long as you have more good ones than bad ones, we're gonna be okay. And I think what's essential for Sandy and essential for the team is that we gotta when we strike early, we typically win those games. We haven't blown. I think we've only lost one lead, and it was this last game against the Phillies, and we came back and won it.
And also another really important stat, just in the beginning of the season, we've only had 3 1-run games, and we're 3-0 in those games.
We also haven't been shut
out, and we've only had 3 1-run games, and we're 3-0 in those 1-run games, which is a testament to the pitching.
Compared to last year, man, we were like not good in those 1-run games.
The back of the bullpen, man. I'm telling you, Puck shuts it down in the 9th. Floro's a setup guy, and you know what? I want to get into it later, but I guess we can get into it now. I think Skip is doing a hell of a job to start off the year. On Tuesday night, we had going into the 7th inning, the heart of the Phillies lineup was coming up to bat, and usually, you leave your setup guy for the 8th inning, but if the heart of the lineup is coming up in the 7th, that's the important inning. You don't wait to bring him in the 8th, and they brought him in the 7th inning, and he shut them down. And then we got a couple runs in the 8th, and then we didn't have to use Puck. But I think that is a nice and refreshing change to what we're used to. I saw people on Twitter were like, "Is he really coming in the 7th?" And it's a breath of fresh air. So, is everybody else happy with the way Skip has looked so far this year?
I am. I mean, yeah. I think we touched on this when we were talking, via group chat, that I think he saw everything that Mattingly did. And listen, Mattingly's had a crazy great career, but I think he saw everything that he did and that wasn't working. I think he's fixing that. Like I think I threw a joke that I was like, Mattingly was going to the pen in like the 5th inning, like firing that shit up in like the 5th inning. Let's fucking go. By the time the 9th came around, we're on cut 4 because position player is pitching, So I think it's fine. I'm happy with Skip so far. I mean, again, small sample size, but I like where we're going with this.
I think what separates Skip is that the biggest difference between him and Mattingly is that Skip understands that the game is evolving, and Skip has a better grasp of what the game has kind of become. I'm the only qualms I've had with Skip, and I said this in the group chat too, is I think while Mattingly was very quick to go to the pen, I think Skip,
he lets it ride a little too long.
Yeah, like the best example was Luzardo the other night. He was going into the 7th inning. He had 75 pitches already, and then he waits till he starts struggling to throw someone in the pen. Whereas it's kind of like coaching 101. Like, okay, even if he's riding, even if Luzardo's cruising, 7th inning, like, hey, I call down there, hey, at least start tossing it. Start stretching, start tossing, and then if you need him to fire it up, like, hey, fire it up, you're coming in if this gets ugly. Like, if I were Skip, and maybe this is why he gets paid a couple $1 million to coach and I don't, after that Birdie era, I pulled Luzardo. And at that point he had no one in the pen ready to go. And then Luzardo ended up throwing 99 pitches and, cut that 4-0 lead into a 4-3 lead. So I think he was a little slow. I think it'll get better with time. And again, I don't think we know if he's entrusted completely Mel Stoudemire Jr. to handle the pen completely, or if he's still calling the shots. That's something that we have to figure out. But that's my only kind of qualms I've had with the coaching staff so far. Aside from that, I think the rotation has been great. Like lineup wise, like I think getting guys in. I think he's doing a great job with a guy like Birdie specifically, who's kind of been a decent bat, and kind of getting him in every night. He's kind of just throwing him in a different part of the infield every night, it feels like.
And I got to give Brant his flowers for that one, because you and I were ready to throw Jazz back at short. And Brant said, nope.
Listen, I'll tell you who we need to throw. Better. I'll tell you who we need to take off that field is Segura. If you look at his advanced stats, like when he's on the field, he has the largest negative win probability on the team by a huge margin. He's leading the league in errors. At least he was. I don't know. Maybe somebody else screwed up while we're talking, but I think Birdie is going to be pushing Segura pretty hard soon. But to go back to Skip,
and Segura is under the Mendoza line.
Yeah, Yeah, and to go back to Skip though, real quick, is I'm very encouraged by what I've seen with him because, like, he's shown that he's not afraid to adapt and kind of admit that he's wrong and make changes. Like, if you look at what the lineups were, like that opening series against the Mets and what they were in this last series against the Phillies, like he completely changed it up. He put Jazz back up at the top of the order where he should be, and really made the adjustments that I think needed to happen based off of what he saw. Sometimes in my feeling with Mattingly is sometimes he got too entrenched in like, no, I know baseball and these are my guys and this is the order they're going to be in. And a lot of managers are like that. And I like that Skip is making adjustments and seeing what's working and what's not. And so, I think hopefully we continue to see that happen and he keeps putting the people that are performing in the right spots, which is what he's doing right now.
And I to kind of lean on what you just said or piggyback off what you just said, Jazz, before being put back on the leadoff, he was batting, I want to say 210. And over the last two series,
he was on a 6-game hit streak at a point.
Yeah. During the last two series, he's batting 260. He has 7 hits and he's a triple. Like he's completely picked it up over the last two series. Obviously, small sample size to start off the year, 2 series, but definitely what I like about Skip, like you said, is that he's not worried about looking bad. And like he made an error. Like Jazz shouldn't be batting cleanup, and that's fine. Move them back to lead up and lead off, and things have improved. And I'm all for it. And now, since we're on the subject of Jazz, we thought to start the year not looking good. Me and Callie were ready to just quit this experiment, but he's improved a bit. He hasn't looked as bad. Callie, you still hating this center field experiment?
He looked a lot better the last couple series. I forgot which game it was that he made not one but 2 very good plays. Again, at some point his athleticism is going to take over, and I think I mentioned that last episode also. Mm-hmm. I clearly they worked with him a little bit in either on travel days or before the game, but he had much better reads. He still has moments that his first step isn't great, which whatever, it's fine. As long as he's not a liability out there, I'm good. If Segura continues to play poorly, it starts to raise the question, like, all right, do you move Birdie to third and then throw Jazz at short, and then especially with Wendell hurt, like, do you mix the pot, like stir the pot that way? But right now, there's the ship isn't sinking. There are no holes in the boat. Like, I keep riding, man. We're 6-7. We're a lot better, 13 games in than we thought we would be. Let's keep riding it, man.
If Wendell comes back, Brenton, if Wendell comes back, do you think we move Birdie to third? And okay. I'm thinking also.
Yeah, I think so. I think, unless we see a drastic improvement from Segura, but the stats don't lie. And so if you look, even last year, like, we were really excited to bring him in because he's a great player and this and that. But even last year, he had a huge negative win probability when he was playing for the Phils. So, you think, was he a part of the winning team, or were they winning in spite of him? Some of the advanced metrics are kind of saying maybe he's on the decline and we probably should not be starting him day in and day out. And I think, the injury to Weddle is really the only reason why Segura is still in, because I think, with his batting average and just, what we've seen from him, even defensively, I think, I just don't think he's the everyday solution right now. And maybe he just needs some time on the bench. But, I think Birdie is showing he should be on the field. And if Weddle comes back and takes his spot back at the shortstop, you have to find a spot to put Birdie on the field and have him on there every day, in my opinion.
Spaz, what are we thinking? Segura, you gonna be patient with him? Are you ready to see that go also?
I'm out, dude. I'm all for I've said it before. I'm a huge fan of Birdie Ball. And if Wendell comes back, we got to find a way to put him in there. I love Joey Bats. I love a dude that bats with no gloves. So, listen, I'm all for keeping Birdie on the team and on the field. And no, man, I'm good on the Segura thing until he does something, because obviously it's not working out for us right now. Going back to the whole thing with Jazz at center, the dude has something to prove, and he's gonna prove that he can do it. So it was rough at first, and we all saw some bad shit out there, but I think he's gonna be fine. Do I want him out there? No, not really, but it is what it is. But circling back around, nah, man, I'm good on Segura. Keep Birdie.
One more player I want to hear your opinions about before we move over. But somebody that I'm not really sure what we could do at this position. Jesus Sanchez.
He needs to.
Go ahead, Callie.
Sorry, he needs to figure it the fuck out. Because the easiest transition would be if we needed to move Jazz into the infield because of injuries, or Segura's not playing well, or whoever, just to rotate it. He's really struggling with the bat. One guy that's been a pleasant surprise is De La Cruz, and maybe that's more of a solution. But Sanchez he's defensively he's fine, I guess, whatever. But bat wise, he's just having ugly at bats, man. Like they're not productive outs. Like if you're putting the ball in play and shit's not going your way, that happens. That's baseball. It happens. It happens to the best on earth.
Baseball, Susan. Yep.
Yeah, but you're striking out, you're taking terrible swings, you're extra dramatic at the plate, like a ball inside, and you still have to run a lap around the plate. Like, stop it. Like, I just I wouldn't be opposed to maybe sending him down and bringing up a guy like Burdick that's hitting really well in the minors right now.
Yeah.
But even a guy like Xavier Edwards, I think he's a guy that's athletic enough, and we can kind of plug him in anywhere. A little Jazz Junior, I like to call him. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, and then the last thing about the last two series, Jesus Luzardo. I think he is performing as good as we expected. I think everybody's pretty happy with the production that he's given us so far. Are we looking at having two aces on this team? Is that where we're at, Spaz? Do you think we got two aces?
We got a baby ace. We got a baby ace.
Okay,
yeah.
A baby ace.
Listen, last year he came out and we were all stoked. And I think his first outing he did really good. And I want to say his second outing he got rocked. And then he came back with glasses. I want to say he came back with glasses, and dude was just like night and day, man. It was
Ricky Vaughn style, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he came back and he was just like, who the fuck is like the Lizard King, man? He came back and he's done so great for us. And I mean, I'm super impressed with how much he's like just progressed, and it's awesome. I'm super stoked to have him on the team.
Brian.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who used to pitch in contacts and then made the switch to sports glasses, I can attest it's a huge difference.
Is it?
But it is. I mean, I don't know what kind of eye issues he has. I have astigmatism, so when I put in contacts, one eye is a little blurry. So when I put on sports goggles, it was night and day. I went from like a 5.0 ERA to like a 4.5, so it was a big difference for me.
Wow.
But,
I hate to break it to you, man. I don't think it was your vision.
Listen, there's no secret that I played with my heart, and the only reason I was on the field is because I would play any position the coach would put me in. But
that's the ultimate utility man.
Utility man. Yeah.
I pitched, I played the outfield. But anyway, go back to Luzardo. I think he's doing great. I think he's on pace right now to kind of repeat what we saw last year, maybe improve a little bit on it. He's not Sandy level yet.
No, but I
Sandy's also a unicorn.
Well, yeah,
yes,
but
yeah.
I think Luzardo probably is one of the best number twos in the league for sure. If you go outside of some of those stacked rotations, I think he's probably in the conversation for best number two. So hopefully we see him progress a little bit more this year, because I like what I see so far.
If you can have two consistent top of the line starters, like you should be able to more or less hover around 500, like we've been saying. This is what we want from the team this year. Keep it at more or less 500 until September, and then hopefully make a run. And with two top of the line starters like that, if you can avoid what happened to Sandy on Tuesday or Monday, whenever it was, right? Like they're gonna have nights like that. But if you can avoid those more often than not, like you should be in line to more or less win more than you lose during those games. What were you gonna say about Luzardo, Cali?
I think when you have a 1-2 punch like that, it's going to help, especially a team that maybe isn't the best offensively like we are. But, even when we face, a Mets or a Dodgers or a Giants type of lineup that just have a bunch of guys who could smash baseballs, it helps to have that 1-2 punch. And we've seen what both guys are capable of already this season. Calling Luzardo ace, I think, is a bit of a stretch. I think he has very good stuff. I don't know how many teams he's an ace on, to be honest with you. But like Brand said, he can be one of the best number 2 guys in the league to have that 1-2 punch. And then if we get the Cabrera we saw against the Phillies, what's not to love, and if Rogers and Braxton Garrett, or if Johnny Cueto ever comes back from injury,
if Cueto stays on the DL, we're good.
Yeah, let's say we're better off. Maybe
that's it.
Better off.
I don't want him back. No,
that's addition by subtraction there. But I think people grossly underestimate how good our pitching really is. I've seen some people kind of on Martin's Twitter kind of complaining like our pitching isn't good. Why do we trade Pablo? Blah blah blah. But our pitching has kept us in ball games. Our pitching has kept us alive. And sure, we're gonna have some hiccups because at the end of the day they're facing big league ball players in a league that's now designed to generate as much offense as possible. But it's hard to look at our pitching staff and see any holes. Like AJ Puck has been outstanding when he's come in too. If we're talking about the bullpen, guys like Floro, Nardi, they've been outstanding. And unfortunately Smeltzer was just that guy that one time, and he got lit up for a few innings, and sometimes you just have to be that guy for the squad. Matt Barnes, we haven't seen him too much yet, but he's done well when he's come in. I think there's a lot to be excited about.
And we said that our offense is really bad. And you know what? Spaz said it best a couple of weeks ago when he said that we are the Michael Jordans of leaving runners on base. We are 7th in the National League for hits. Like, we're hitting the ball. We're getting on base. We're just leaving them on base. So we got to get them in.
We're 7th in the league and getting guys on base, but I think we're dead last in getting guys in.
Oh,
right, exactly. We're left on base, and I've been trying to find who's leading the league and runners left on base, and I haven't been able to find it. That's what I was doing while you were speaking. But Jesus Luzardo, I think, is obviously, like you said, not an ace right now. But I think if he keeps playing the way he has last year and the way he started this year, I think that it could be in the conversation midway through the season. We can have more of a better answer. Be like, you know what? This guy is going to be an ace, or at least a great number 2, which is what you want.
Yeah, right. I don't mind having 2 aces. We can have 2. We can have 3 if we want. We can find a way to get 5, even better.
Well, you know what? The problem is, look, I would have came out here and I would have started bad mouthing Cabrera if it wasn't for that last start, because those first 2 with all those walks really worried me, because we're counting on him as our number 3, and if our number 3 is just going to be walking runs home, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he had 13 walks in his first 2 starts, which is abysmal.
And I think
it'd be tough to win that way.
But I think when you see like his last start, like you see what he brings to the table from a pitching standpoint. He's such a change from Luzardo and from Sandy, because Sandy does a lot of things great, but he doesn't throw a great breaking ball. And I think that's what Cabrera does. And if he can lean on that curve, because that curve is nasty, if he can lean on that, I think he can be okay. It's just, I think we talked about it earlier. He has to get out of his own head and just focus on throwing strikes, and he'll be good. He'll be a good number 3.
When it comes to him, I say let Mel just take care of that, because I think he's going to be just fine. It's just he's got to work. Like when it comes to somebody like Rogers, Rogers, he unfortunately went night and day when they got rid of sticky stuff. That's just what happened. It sucks. But I love Rogers. When that shit happened, it just went. But I think with
Garrett Cole, he has to call Garrett Cole because his stuff went also for like a couple weeks, and then I don't know what he's using. He's using because he picked it right back up. So we gotta We got to contact Garrett Cole.
Listen, we are all going to be at the park tomorrow, and Rogers is throwing. We got to hope he figured it out.
I hope so.
Against a Diamondbacks team that's been hitting too, so. Well, we'll see.
And just real quick, I looked it up. We are currently ranked 20th in runners left on base per game, at least. We're leaving on average 6 runners on base per game.
I think
That's much lower than I thought it was.
That Phillies series, I think, helped us out a lot.
Yeah, Cleveland is by far the worst, 8.54 runners left on base per game. And again, what I kept saying is that I want the Marlins to kind of take the Cleveland Guardians a blueprint last year where they leaned on their pitching all the way to the playoffs, and that's what I was kind of hoping this team would do. But the hitting has been a little better than expected. But like Callie said, next 2 series, Diamondbacks and Giants. You gonna pull out that crystal ball again, Callie?
It's gonna be tough. The Diamondbacks, I think, are performing a little better than everyone thought they would. They have that young buck Carroll, who's just destroying baseballs right now. Their pitching is solid. We're going to see Madison Bumgarner on tomorrow night, and he's historically very, very good. They have Zach Gallen, former Marlin, who found life in Arizona, and he's also throwing really well.
They have the second best record in the National League right now.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's going to be tough, but I love us at home. It's going to be. I mean, they're seeing the back end of our rotation and then Sandy, so they're going to see Trevor Rogers, Braxton Garrett, and then Sandy. So we'll see how that goes, and I think we can take 2. I think the Giants are going to be a bit tougher. The Giants they can hit really well. That's a really experienced team. Especially with guys like Crawford, Yaz, stuff like that. So we'll see about San Francisco. They're always a tough beat. So
we're thinking 3-3 again in the next 6. We got another 6 games.
I'll take 3. I'll take 3-3 in this homestand. Definitely take home 3.
I need to go 500 all the way. Let's just go 500 all the way.
Well, that's the plan. The plan is to hover there
genuinely
in September. Yeah.
Get 500. Be 500. Get into the wild card. That's the goal.
That's it. 86 got the Phillies all the way to the World Series.
All right, that's what we got to do. That's a plan.
That's it. That's the plan. Hey, look. I hate that the Marlins made the playoffs in 2020, and I told you guys this already before in one of our chats. I hate that they made in 2020 because that was a BS. Because so many teams made it unnecessarily, and the fact that before that the Marlins had only made the playoffs twice. And they literally were undefeated series-wise. They were the only franchise in American sports history to never lose a playoff series up until 2020. Because you get there, you win it. Like that. It's the Marlins mantra, right? Build, win, sell, repeat. That's what it is. So I was hoping that.
Harsh.
So what are we thinking for the next 2 series, Spaz?
So I see it opposite. I think we take 2 from the Giants. And tomorrow's going to suck because tomorrow we have Bumgarner and then we have Rogers. I still think we go 3 or 4 wins, leaning more towards 4. I'm not really too worried about. I think the Giants are like 4th in the West, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're 5-7. Yeah.
Giants are like 4th in the West. I think the Diamondbacks are 1st, right?
I think the thing that hurts us is that it's the back of our rotation going against the. Oh no! Wait, when we play the Giants, it's going to be Luzardo and Cabrera.
Yeah, they're going to see
Cabrera, Rogers.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we'll be all right. I say we take 4 out of the 6. That's my prediction. We'll be there. We'll all be there tomorrow. So that's gonna boost the team up somehow.
Gonna need a squad pick for sure.
Yeah, I say we take 4 out of the 6. I'm pretty optimistic being at home. 4 out of 6. I think we'll be all right.
What about you, Brent?
I'm with Spaz. I think we're going 4-2. I think we take tomorrow night against the D-backs. We probably lose the second game. I think we take the Sandy game, and then I think we win the next 2.
I want the Kool-Aid you're drinking, baby.
Come and get it, man.
You know what? And Callie, I'm sorry, but I thought I was going to be the only one to say it, but I guess it's 3 out of 4. I also think we go 4-2.
There you
I
go.
also,
There you
I
go.
also think we give it to Bumgarner tomorrow. I really do.
Yeah.
I think we get the Sandy game. That's 2, and then we take 2 from the Giants.
Yeah,
I think
so too.
we win both series. Now, maybe I'm drinking the juice like you said, but I think Luzardo wins on Monday. I think Sandy comes back like Branton said, and he dominates because he got lit up on Sunday. And I think we give it to Bumgarner tomorrow. That's 3, and then we just need 1 out of the last 2. So I really do think that we're gonna get 4 out of the next 6. Now, is there a chance that we go 2-4? Obviously, it's the Marlins, but like last week, I said 3-3, and we're good.
I'll take 3-3. I'll take it. I feel 4-2.
Right, but
I
feel 4-2 also. I feel it also. Now, if tomorrow we get lit up, then maybe I'll go and apologize to Cali in person. But as of right now, I'm feeling 4-2. That's just how I'm feeling.
I dig it.
I also want to point out that we've been bad in the first game of the series. Every series we've played so far.
All right. Well, let's see. How has Madison Bumgarner looked so far this season? He's 0-1, ERA 7.27. He's pitched a total of how many games has he played?
We should be rested, right? We got a day of rest. We traveled early.
He's played 2 games and he's pitched a total of 8.2 innings. So 8 2/3 of innings. So he's gotten pulled early. Yeah, he's given up 3 home runs in those 2 starts, given up 10 walks in those 2 starts.
Homeboy's getting rocked, bro.
It's not the Bumgarner of old.
Yeah.
He hasn't looked that hot. So I think we can take it tomorrow.
Another cycle for Ottawa.
Depends on what Rogers we get tomorrow, to be fair. I could be sitting with you guys at the stadium and saying, well, we really fucked up.
So just real quick, I wanted to touch up on just one thing that I forget who it was that sent it. A post from the Rockies. Now, they announced that they were going to start selling beer all the way through the 8th inning, right? Usually they stop selling through the 7th inning. But that's the effect that the pitch clock has had, that it's affecting beer sales. Now, I'm assuming we did this for, safety reasons, DUIs and all that other good stuff. But when the bottom line is getting affected, we throw caution to the wind and we say, let's sell it till the 8th. How are we feeling about this? Like, is that big a deal?
Dude, it's Marlins Park. There's always been a loophole. Like,
has there been?
Yeah. Oh my God. Since Marlins Park opened, they had the Clevelander. If I wanted to keep drinking after the 7th, I just go to the Clevelander.
Because it's open after the game's over.
And there's also a brewery on site.
Well, the brewery closed, but they have the Biscayne Bay. So now there's 2 loopholes. So now it's not the Clevelander anymore, but now it's Recess Lounge. You go there after the 7th inning. Your field level, you have screens up top. They show the Heat games. They show any other Panthers games, any local games that are on, and you have service. And you go there after the game. You can still watch. And then Biscayne Bay Brewing, you just have to stay in their little section, but you can drink beer and drink alcohol there, and you just have the TVs. You just can't go to the main terminal or whatever the main area. But we have a loophole. Miami's always had a loophole.
Yeah, if we want to get fucked up, we're getting fucked up, man.
Listen, it won't be the first time that I've had to sober up in a parking lot, and it won't be the last.
Yeah, mean, you have to figure that something like that was going to happen. And my thing is baseball historically opens their gates an hour and a half instead of like 2 hours before, like football, basketball, and stuff like that. Just open it 2 hours before, let people come in, let people drink, or have vendors walking around outside. I don't fucking know, man, but figure it the fuck out.
The weird part about the Rockies Stadium doing that is that I don't know if you guys have been to like Rockies Stadium.
I haven't.
No.
It's a beautiful area. I mean, it's literally I'm trying to go this year, hopefully. But there's like 2 or 3 major breweries within 2 or 3 blocks. So it's surrounded by restaurants and bars. Like you can do anything you want around there. So the fact that they're doing that, it's like they're somehow losing even more money.
Yeah, I was about to say, because that means that they're losing even more because they're just going outside and drinking outside.
Listen,
for sure.
Coors said, listen, we're the exclusive beer of the Rockies and we're losing out. We got to get some more Coors down these people's throats.
Exactly.
Now, here's a thought. Hear me out. For the Rockies specifically. All right. Colorado has legal recreational marijuana use. Do they open a dispensary on site? Really start generating those sales, man?
They should. And there's a dispensary literally a block away. I've been there.
That's more my speed, man. Like, well, let's do that.
They should do something like that. To be honest, I mean, people want to smoke. No big deal.
It's not against the law.
Business opportunity. You guys got to like purchase one of the hot dog stands there.
We gotta
close it down and turn it into a dispensary.
We have herbal supplements.
13-0 Tampa Bay Rays. Are they for real?
Rays are always good, man.
They're always good, yeah. But are they 13-0 good? Because that's ridiculous start that they got off to.
They've played like St. Mary's School of the Blind to open up, but 13-0 in the bigs is 13-0 in the bigs, man. Like a 20-20, right? Like
they have Toronto tomorrow, and they tied the record for the greatest start in history, 13-0.
Yeah, and not to mention their run differential is like plus 71 right now. They've only allowed 30 runs to score through 13 games. Like,
yeah,
they're smashing baseballs, man. Like that's a good team. I think they'll be as competitive as anybody, and they always are. You know, the Rays, for having one of the lowest payrolls in the league historically, you know, they've found I don't think there's a team
and the shittiest stadiums.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a team that's better at playing the money ball game, and on top of that, bringing guys up through their system, through the minors, and then finding the diamonds in the rough, like the Kermeyers and the Randy can't say his fucking guy. Arosquena, the Dominican that's Mexican, you know, like it's they always manage to find guys like that, you know. And then Kevin Cash is a fantastic manager. I'd argue maybe the best in baseball right now. You know, no one does more with less than he does, you know. And then you have some guys on the bump that can sling it too, man. Like
looking at the history, I forget how many teams have started 10-0 or better to start a season. I want to say it was like 5 or 6, and only one of them have won the World Series, the 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers. Every other team that's gotten to a hot start like that hasn't even made it to the World Series. Yeah, so
I think the
last season, man.
I think the last team to start like 10-0 was like the Royals in like '94, and ended up like not making the playoffs.
Yeah, a few of them didn't make the playoffs. I was looking it up today. There was a few that didn't make the playoffs. Some made it to the NLCS or ALCS, and the only one that made it to the World Series was the Dodgers, which they won it in '55. They beat the Yankees in, I want to say, 7 games. So there's that. Hopefully the Rays also fail.
My only concern with the Rays is like everybody's hitting and everybody's pitching at just the right time. Like, do they all go cold at the same time?
How long does that last?
Yeah.
I'd say this. I'd rather start 0-10 than finish 0-10.
For sure.
Yeah.
What happens the first 10 games of the season is almost irrelevant down the road, you know. Shit happens.
The Yankees had one of the hottest starts last year you'd ever see. Everybody was wondering if they were going to break the record for 116 wins by the Mariners. And then they had like the worst August anybody's ever seen ever. And they at that point, we didn't even know if they were going to win the division anymore. So it definitely
did they end up winning it on the last day or something like that too?
It was the last series, I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got close when they were just running away with it. It
got hairy a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So almost here, closing it out. We wanted to bring in everybody's favorite segment. We got.
I'm so excited.
Battered Marlins Fans Trivia. This time run by my main man, Branton.
I feel like I should have one of those big microphones.
Or the little tiny ones like Bob Barker.
Yeah, Bob Barker.
Little skinny ones.
All right.
I'm keeping score on my phone. So
all right. So I think we're tied right now, right? Me and Danny.
You and Danny are tied at 1 apiece. Spaz and myself do not have a score because this is our first time participating.
That's correct.
In the trivia.
So I'm going to enjoy being tied for first.
I'll be keeping score for all of us.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to start off with the league trivia. I got 3 questions on that and 3 Marlins questions for you guys. So the league trivia, we're keeping on theme with our boy Luis Ariz. It's all about the cycle, baby.
Ooh.
So first one, now that the Marlins are off the board, Which team has gone the longest since it had a player hit for the cycle?
Oh man, the Braves.
Spaz.
No, it's the Reds.
Correct.
Ooh.
Spaz.
The Reds' last cycle was hit by Eric Davis on June 2nd, 1989.
You're never gonna fucking believe me. I fucking guessed.
That was one hell of a guess.
I thought it was the Braves, but okay.
Close.
Oh my god. All right, let's keep it going.
All right. So how many times in MLB history has the natural cycle occurred? Which, for those who don't know, it's when you hit it in order from single, double, triple, home run. And you get a bonus if you know who did it last.
I was gonna say never.
I'm gonna say twice.
Nope.
I mean, if we're just throwing numbers out there, how many times it's happened? I'll say 5 times.
14 times.
Wow,
it's
that's
happened.
more than I thought.
Wow.
The last time it happened, was Gary Matthews Jr. for the Rangers in 2006.
Wow.
The last time the natural cycle happened.
I'm gonna be dead last in this thing.
And listen,
You're still tied for first.
I'm in
Callie's
dead last
last
right now.
It's a 3-way tie for first. All right. So next one, last major league one is who was the last person to hit for the cycle before Arise did it?
I know the fucking answer to this. God damn it. And his name is not coming to my brain right now.
it was last season.
Nolan Arenado, St. Louis.
Correct.
Yes.
And fun fact, he did it against the Phillies as well
yes.
on July 1st of last year.
Yes.
All right. And so my Marlins trivia coming up now has a theme too. It's all about Marlins firsts.
Ooh.
You see, you like that? I tied everything together. This is for that guy on Twitter who said nobody is celebrating the first cycle in Marlins history.
Yeah. Hopefully
We're celebrating, and I hope you're listening. And when we do live shows, I hope you're in the audience, man, and we'll bring you on. So, first one, who was the first Marlins pitcher with a 20-win season?
I'm gonna say
first one?
Al Leiter?
Nope.
I was
Kevin
about to say
Brown.
it has to be.
Nope.
Alex Fernandez?
Nope.
Carlos
I was gonna
Pavano.
Nope.
No way.
It's
not it's not Beckett, is it?
Also,
No, let Danny, you got one?
I was gonna say Al Leiter.
No.
It can't be
What?
Dontrell Willis.
It was in the 90s.
It's D-Train.
It's
It was
Dontrell.
Dontrell Willis.
How do I not
Yeah.
get that one?
Yep.
All
So
right.
Danny got a point. In 2005, that's the year he should have won the Cy Young. He led the league in wins and ERA and finished
That was
with
his
22
last good
wins.
season, wasn't it? After
I
that,
think we
then he
traded
kinda
him
just-
after that offseason.
We
We
did
traded him 07.
Then we traded him to the Sox.
No, to the
No, we
Tigers.
traded him to the
He was,
Tigers.
he was in the Mickey deal.
Yeah.
Mhm. Damn.
All right. So next one. Which Marlin was the first Rule 5 pick in MLB history to be selected to the All-Star game in the
Dan
season
Uggla.
in which he was
Dan
drafted?
Ugla. Dan Ugla.
Ooh,
Yes.
Dan
That was a
Ugla.
question.
I
God damn it,
forgot that name.
I love using Dan Ugla.
Ugla.
You know how many
I
times
have
he
a
almost
funny
hit for
Dan
the
Ugla story,
cycle?
by the way.
He almost hit for the cycle twice
I have
with
a funny,
us.
I have a funny Dan Ugla story, by the way.
I want to listen to
Let's
that
hear it.
story, yeah.
All right, so I was young. I was in my early 20s. I was at a bar in Las Olas, and I was fucking blitzed, bro. Like I was fucked up. So I turn around. I'm at the bar. I have like 4 beers in my hands, like bottles. I turn around, and I thought I bumped into like a column or like a wall, and I dropped all my beers, and the bottles shatter, and they're all over this guy's jeans, cowboy boots, all this shit. And I look up, and I just hear in this almost southern drawl, like, "Oh, sorry about that, brother." And he puts his hand on my shoulder, and I look up. I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, you're Dan Ugla." He's like, he gets really close. He grabs me by the shirt, and he pulls me really close. He's like, "Shut the fuck up." I'm like, "Can I get a picture?" He's like, "I'm gonna buy you your beers, and you're gonna get the fuck away from me." I'm like, "Okay."
I love
His
it.
name is Dan Ugla.
Yeah, so he bought me beers. He ended up taking a picture of me after the fact. I'm sure I have it somewhere, but he was fucked up too, and then his wife took a picture of us, so it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's my Dan Ugla story.
Dan Ugla. All right.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players. I love
course.
Dan.
I love that Dan Ugly used to do the tobacco-free Florida commercials, but he'd play with like just a giant
Huge dip.
chaw
yeah.
in his mouth.
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah. I'm Dan Ugly. I don't smoke. I don't chip it. I don't chew, and I don't dip. Like, hey, you do, motherfucker.
It's big league chew, all right? Leave the man alone. So, final trivia question. Who was the first Marlins pitcher to throw 250 strikeouts in a season?
Charlie Huff.
Nope.
No way. I'm gonna say Alex Fernandez.
Nope.
Levon.
Nope.
Kevin Brown.
Nope.
Leiter. Beckett.
Oh, I was gonna go Josh Beckett.
AJ Burnett.
Ooh, AJ Burnett's a good one.
Brad
Nope.
Penny.
Nope.
Fucking Christ. Ryan Dempster.
Nope. Let Danny get one in.
How many strikeouts?
250.
Oh, Jose.
Yep.
Okay.
It was Jose.
I heard two. I thought 200 at first. So I'm like, we had guys get to 200, but then you said 250.
Yeah, that's a lot, dude.
250 is a lot.
Yeah.
Callie's in the lead here.
Yeah. Right now,
He's got two. We all have one.
I have three, motherfucker.
No, you don't. I'm taking one away.
Suck my cock. I have three. Danny has two. Brad and Spez with one apiece.
Nah, that was difficult for sure. All
I
right.
tried not to make it so hard like Callie did, but
those are good.
I had a theme.
Callie's was rough.
I need
Callie's
to
was rough.
ease up. You both got one right though, so I don't know what you're complaining about.
You literally asked us who was the starting opposing pitcher in the Marlins' first ever game, and the only hint you gave us is you would giggle if you were a teenager. What the fuck?
Oral Hershiser. That would make a 13-year-old laugh.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't on the first episode, guys. I would have been so pissed.
All right, so we're closing it out here.
Anything
Else for the people, my guys?
Like, subscribe, do the whole song and dance, tune in.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun here, man.
Branson and I are gonna continually keep drinking whiskey through this.
That's right.
It's gonna get interesting.
And we promise you will
Time to pour another.
keep seeing that magisterial mustache every week.
Oh,
The
I
handlebar.
love it.
I'll be here. I'll be here on Thursdays, man. Yeah.
Brandon, anything else before we sign off?
No, I'm just glad, a lot of you guys tuned in last week, either watched or listened to us, and we hope you guys keep doing that, and you guys keep supporting us, and we'll do some exciting things together.
Sounds awesome. Thank you if you listened all the way to the end. We appreciate you. Like Callie said, like, subscribe, do all that thing, spread the word that we got a new Marlins content podcast because there's not many of us out there. And if you guys are at the stadium tomorrow, we'll catch you there. Till next Thursday when we go 4-2, we'll see you then.